Welcome, devotees. Welcome, devotees, to today's class. We shall continue with chapter number 5. A few sections we have already covered, and those are, we can see that first section was regarding Nishkam Karma Yoga. It was easier. Nishkam Karma Yoga was better or easier to perform rather than lead a renounced order of life or sannyas. And section 2 dealt with how to perform Nishkam Karma Yoga. Today we shall be talking about platform of knowledge, knowing the three doers. Normally we consider ourselves as we are the doer, but the fact remains that we are not the doer. It is our soul which has certain desires. Now these desires are permitted by the sanction by super soul, and super soul, when sanctions the three modes of material nature, make it happen, or some act is enacted, or some activities carried out. So this we have gone through Arjuna's confusion. We saw this Rajsuyag being done by Dharmraj Yudhishthir, and we compared between the two philosophies, and then this we have discussed about Nishkam Karma Yoga, how to do it. And the ideal example, analogy given was that of a high court judge who sentences a person for a heinous crime to death, but he does not incur any kind of reaction because he is doing as a duty. He is passing this judgment as a part of his duty. And similarly, Lord Krishna here is telling Arjuna that you have to perform your duty. You will not incur any kind of sin or any kind of sinful reaction. This was last we studied that whatever we think we become. Yukta karma phalam tektva shantim apnoti nashtikim ayukta kam karen phales shakto nibadyate. So, and this story of Maharaj Braga, who donated, he had committed only one mistake, and the mistake was that whatever sacrifice, he was doing a lot of sacrifices, and whatever sacrifice he used to do was for material gains and benefits, and it was not for a spiritual cause. That is why he suffered this. Now today we'll take up this part, platform of knowledge, knowing the three doers. We had started and abruptly we had to finish. As I told you earlier that there are three doers, but normally we have heard in chapter number 3, verse was 3.3, verse was 27. The prakriti kriya mani gune karmani sarvasa ahankar vimuratma karta ham iti manyate. Ahankar vimuratma, out of self ego, that individual considered that I am the doer. I am doing whatever it is. It is not the person or the jiva who is doing. It is the prakriti kriya marani, the three modes of material nature which make things to happen. And when the soul thinks something, there is super soul nearby. And if we go to a flower, we smell the fragrance of a flower, we are close to it. The super soul is simply very close to soul in the heart of a living entity, and it smells what the desire of soul is. It based on the patrata, or say whether the person deserves or not, the super soul permits it. As soon as sanction from the super soul is granted for an activity or an action, the three modes of material nature, or the prakriti or material nature, fashions it into an action. So this is the chain. The living being, that is the jiva, is a doer number 1, who knows that all bodily activities are automatically carried out by the modes of material nature. Material nature is doer number 2. And after those activities are sanctioned by the super soul. So in fact, super soul is first doer is the jiva, second is the person or the super soul which sanctions or observes and quietly sanctions, and third is the material nature which makes the work into a concrete form. So attains enlightenment through that knowledge. So one has to understand this knowledge that I am not the doer. I am not the doer. It is my my desires or my wishes or my wish to accomplish an activity that is sanctioned by super soul. Then when super soul sanction, then only So body is not actually the doer. We are not the doer. The earlier verse which I mentioned, that Prakriti Kriya Manani Gunai Karmani Sarvasa. Gunai Karmani Sarvasa. Guna, that means three modes of material nature, are the doer basically. Ahankar Vimuratma, but out of ego, we consider that we are the doer. But you can see here in this picture, enlightenment through knowing the three doers in perspective. So we should not consider ourselves as the doer. The message is directly to Arjuna. Do not consider that you are the doer. It is the jiva or the soul which is following the right path of fighting in the battlefield. So you are not the doer, and the three modes of matter nature that will make it happen. So now we discussed about these nine gates of the body: two eyes, two nose, two nostrils, two ears, mouth, then the genitals, and the anus. So these are ears, eyes, mouth, nostrils, six, mouth, genitals, and the anus. So these are nine gates. But can one remain? Do we remain happy in this fort of nine gates, or in this the city of nine gates, which is our city, is our body, and these nine gates are there, and the soul is residing inside, and inside also is the mind, intelligence, and false ego. So are we happy? We are not happy really. We are always under tension. We are always planning something, and when the plans are big, we are anxious. We are always worried about it. So in that condition, what happens? We are never happy. But if we know in the heart of our hearts that we are not the doer, it is the three modes of material nature, the soul and the super soul, which are the doers, then probably the soul can remain in happiness or in a state of bliss. So, yes, Bhavika Mataji will come to the next verse. And so the knowledge of the three doers, which is 13 to 16 describe the three doers. The first doer is the jiva or self. Jiva is situated in the city of nine gates, nine holes of the body, not working or causing work to be done. So jiva himself, the self, is not actually working or making any work happen. It does not create any activity, does not induce others to act, does not create the fruits of action. So when one renounces the result, he can or she can live happily. So whatever activity takes place, the jiva has to renounce the result, the fruits or benefits of that activity, and then only the person can remain happy within this city of nine gates. So here 5.14 says that these are three modes of material nature, and above is Lord Krishna. Here the picture is not complete here. Lord Krishna is sanctioning, and the three modes of material nature, that is mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. You can see this, the dress of the three modes. This is white, and this is red. Passion is red, and this is black, because ignorance is dark. Ignorance is darkness. So in mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance, these activities are happening, and individual is perforce or compulsively, he is doing some activity, though he considers that I am the doer, but the fact is not this. So the embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. So we have to remember this thing very clearly, that it is the doer is not we ourselves. Doer is three modes of material nature. And how these three modes of material nature are working? Because of our past karmas and past propensities, we have developed a nature or swabhav. And that swabhav is carried over by the subtle body through the soul. And that soul expresses its desire to do something. The super soul permits it. And based on the patrata, or based on the qualification of the living entity. And thereafter an activity is performed. So doer 2 is the material nature, doer 1 we saw, that was the jiva, and doer 3 is the super soul. Nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activity. God is indifferent. Super soul is, we discussed this point earlier in chapter 2, that super soul is totally different, totally untouched by any mode of material nature. When it is not not touched by totally untouched by the three modes of material nature, then it is not involved in any activity. It is only just a anumanta, that means it permits only, and anudrasta, that is it oversees only, and it also permitter. So embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers this real knowledge. The real knowledge is that they are not the doer. So, but because of ignorance, they consider themselves as the doer. So this super soul is there. Super soul is permitting everything to happen. And this picture specifically signifies something different. You know, when the soul, subtle body, leaves the gross body at the time of death, then Lord Krishna glances over the soul, and based on its desires, its unfulfilled desires, its propensities, its swabhav, the Lord grants a certain life form or certain form of life to maybe higher form, maybe a lower form, animal form, tree form, whatever it is. We know 84,000 forms of life are there. So Lord Krishna here grants looks just a glance, a part of glance over the soul is enough to create a life form, and that immediately, based on the directive given by this Lord, Supreme Lord, the material nature immediately fashions the body, maybe human body, a dog or a tree or a aquatic life or a bird or insect, whatever it is. So these are three doers. So this one again. So enlightenment is that how we are not the doer. This is the enlightenment. The doer are three. First is the soul, which has got certain desires. Second is super soul, which permits. And third is three modes of material nature, which make it happen or give it a form of life. So doer, number two, the modes of material nature, they are doing everything, but they are under the direction of the Lord. Because Lord has permitted, the super soul has permitted, then only material mode of nature comes into action. And super soul is the sanctioning, but aloof. Super soul is only just quite observer. It is quite permitted. It does not get involved in anybody's. Sometimes, what happens, we blame why I'm such a good person and I have been doing all good things to everybody. Why I'm suffering so much? But we do not know because we are ignorant. We do not know what was our previous actions in previous life, what we are carrying forward as prarabdha, and what those actions have to be accomplished, or whatever desires were there at the time of living. So those desires is a super soul, or Supreme Lord is very loving Father. He permits anything, whatever desire the soul wants or carries over. So those are permitted by, because Lord has given certain minute independence to soul. We have read this earlier also, that Lord is a permitter because he loves the living entity. He wants living entity to go back to him, but he wants the living entity to fulfill his desires also. He does not interfere. So he remains aloof. He does not get involved in whatever soul is desiring or soul is accomplishing, or the three modes of material nature are making some action happen. The Lord does not take responsibility for anybody's pious or impious activities. Sometimes we keep on blaming, Lord is unfair to us. Lord has done this to us. But we do not remember that what we did so that this happened to us. The soul desires, the Lord does not interfere. The Lord sanctions these desires as a living entity deserves. As living entities deserves. Lord does not permit everything. Sometimes we ignore super soul and carry on something which Lord has not permitted. And then we suffer. Then the modes carry out these things. And this is knowledge in mode of goodness. So person who knows this thing, he is acting in the mode of goodness. Yeah, Bhabika Mataji, you can read now.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Role of 13, role of soul, initiator. 14, role of material nature, facilitator. 15A, role of the Lord, sanctioner. 15B, ignorance bewilders. Nandate कश्चित् papam na chaiva sukratam vibhuh ajinane na vratam jnanam tena mohuyanti ज्ञातावः.
ना दत्ते कश्चित् पापम ना चैव सुकृतं विभु अज्ञानेन्द्रव्रतं ज्ञानम तेना मुह्यन्ति जन्मतः. So yes, this one. Now this is a graphic description of what Mataji you have just read. Yeah, please read it. This one. So Jiva desires. Yeah, from this point. This is the beginning point. Jiva desires.
Jiva desire. Super soul verifies and sanctions based on does this Jiva deserves to get this desire fulfilled? Who is this desire? Who is the doer? After receiving Super Soul's order, material nature through three modes, Sattva, Raja, Tama, fulfills Jiva's desire. Hare Krishna.
So we can see that Jiva desires, super soul or supreme personality of Godhead permits, immediately three modes of material come into play and make the thing happen or make the work happen. So this one also, Mataji, please continue. So this is comparison between soul and super soul. I think this is very important, and it could be one of your quizzes also, it will be a question. So,
Comparing soul and super soul, VG 5.13 to 16. Soul, eternal. Super soul, eternal. Blissful but suffers when covered by Maya. Super soul, blissful above the modes. Soul, cognizant of his body. Super soul, cognizant of all the bodies. Soul, Anu, atomic. Super soul, Vibhu, omniscient. Soul has minute independence to desire, but is dependent upon super soul to fulfill desires. Super soul, complete independence. Hare Krishna.
So this is a beautiful chart of comparison between soul and super soul. Eternal, both are eternal. We know soul is part and parcel. We are part and parcel of Lord in the form of soul, presence of soul, which is individual soul. And super soul is also eternal. Blissful, both are in a state of blissful, but we are not blissful because we get contamination with three modes of material nature, but Lord is beyond. He is the creator, controller, and maintainer of three modes of material. He is not affected. He is cognizant of his body. Now, I'll give you just analogy here. If there is a farmer, the farmer knows that this is my field, right? He knows the limits and everything, extent and every aspect of his life. But there is a king of that estate. The king knows the farms or the land of all the farmers in his estate. He not only knows the extent of his fort or the palace, but also beyond the palace, he knows the areas or land allotted to all of his citizens. So individual soul is cognizant of his knowledge, possesses the knowledge of his own body only. But the super soul possesses knowledge of all the bodies, all the living entities. Anu, because it is a fragment. We know what is the size of the soul, Mataji? It is subatomic. Anyone?
Yeah,
Uh,
One
1/10 part of the tip of a hair. 1/10 portion of the tip of the hair.
100 portion.
1 upon 10,000 part.
1/10,000 part. Yeah.
1 upon 10,000 part of a tip of a scalp here. So this is so it is Anu and it is Vibhu because so many souls have come out of super soul. So it is Vibhu, it is magnificent, it is everywhere, present everywhere. And we have seen this a picture in which super soul was there, and there were a picture which showing human beings, animals, trees, birds, aquatic life, snakes, all those things, and they were all So that means soul is there. And we also had a picture earlier, Tattva Darshana, because the knowledgeable person or who is a self-realized person, he is a Tattvadarshi. He knows the truth about himself and also about others. And also he is Samdarshi. He sees each one as equal because he does not see the physical form. He sees the super soul presence of super soul. And the soul has minute independence to desire, but is dependent upon super soul to fulfill desires. We cannot fulfill our desires without the permission of super soul. So this minute independence, we misuse it. We do not listen to super soul. We do not seek its permission of super soul. We use our minute independence in wrong manner. But the super soul is completely independent. It is not dependent on any part. So we come to section 4, which is a very important part of this. So we have known 3 doers are there. One is Jiva, second is super soul, which sanctions, third is the 3 modes of material nature, which fashion our desires to be fulfilled. So liberation by focus on the super soul. Now, if we get away from mind, intelligence, and false ego, and we forget about senses, we focus our energy or our consciousness on super soul, then nothing wrong will go. And this is an area which is the part of section 5. One who is in knowledge devotionally fixes his consciousness on the super soul and remains materially equiposed. That means he is not affected by the external world's material objects or material attractions. He remains focused on his super soul. Can you name what such a person is called?
Pita Pragya.
Sthit Pragya, yes, very nice word. And also a person in yogi. What about in yogi? He fixes his consciousness on super soul only, and he is doing meditation. And he is not affected by the external environment. He's not
The mind exists in equanimous.
equanimity. Yes, he remains equiposed or in a state of equanimity. So attains liberation in the near future. But meditation, in which yoga meditation was practiced? Can we practice meditation in this yoga?
No.
It is not recommended.
Not.
What is recommended? What kind of worship is recommended in Kali Yuga?
Chanting.
Chanting, yes.
Bhakti
And
yoga.
meditation was...
Harinam Kirtan.
Yeah, yes, Mataji. Meditation was recommended in such yoga. People had thousands of years of life, and they used to meditate for long periods, and they could control their, mind and senses and focus on their super soul. But we at this stage cannot do it. So yes, Mataji, who would like to read next? It's 5.17.
May I,
Yes,
Prabhuji?
yeah,
Can I, Prabhuji?
Priya Mataji. Then thereafter, after Priya Mataji, next.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Tad buddhayas tad atmanas tan nisthas tad parayana gachanti apunar abhritim jnana nirdhutta kalmasha. When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge, and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So this is now one is developing consciousness, focusing his all consciousness on super soul, doing away with the mind, intelligence, sense organs, and the sense objects also. Then when such a person takes refuge, means focuses himself, his attention in the Supreme Lord, then one becomes, his heart becomes purified. And when heart is purified, he gains the knowledge. And the real knowledge is that he is not the body, he is not the doer, but he is soul, he is part and parcel of Lord, he is eternal servitor of Lord, and this paves the path for liberation. Such a person gets liberated. Yes, Mataji, this one. When this.
Okay. When this knowledge is used to focus uh, on the super soul, then one can act in a transcendental way. Enlightenment can lead to transcendence if it is focused on the super soul.
Yes. Now,
Hare
what is transcendence? Did you get in assignment para and apara? This word. Transcendental means anything which is beyond the three modes of material nature and which is in relation to Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is transcendence. Right? So, yes, Mataji, this is a very important verse. I think everybody must remember also. Yes, Mataji, please continue.
Okay.
Vidya.
Vidyaya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gabi Hastini Suni Cheva Swa Pake Sa Pandita Samadarsina. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and a gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. Hare Krishna.
Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaiv Shopake Cha Pandita Samdarshana. You can, in the picture, you can see there is a sage. So Pandita means a very realized person, a knowledgeable person. Now, he sees a Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater with the same vision. Why? Because he does not see them as a physical form. He sees in all of them the super soul. You can see the picture here. This is super soul in the cow. This is super soul in the Brahmana. This is super soul in the elephant. And this is super soul in the dog eater. And this is super soul in the... So he is a samdarshi. He sees each one equally. Now, these are representative. Brahmana and cow are in a mode of goodness. And the elephant and the dog are in mode of passion. And the dog eater, rather, elephant is in mode of passion. And the dog eater and the dog are in mode of passion. But this sage is self-realized. He is above three modes of material nature because he is not ignorant. He has attained this knowledge that these are physical forms, only bodily forms, or external appearance only internally. They are all Supreme Personality of Godhead, or part and parcel of Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he visualizes each one equally. He does not discriminate between them, that this is a man, this is a cow, this is an animal, or this is a dog or dog eater. Yes, Mataji, this one, continue.
Hare Krishna. Situated in Brahman, when one fixes his consciousness on the super soul, his intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are focused. He is free from doubts because he has knowledge of the three doers. He sees that the super soul is sanctioning but impartial, sees with equal vision because he has knowledge. He is not this body and knowledge of the super soul. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So you can see this sage, this self-realized person who has knowledge that I am not the doer. He recognizes each one in the same manner as they are. That is, they are super soul. They are not external appearance. And this picture also you have just now seen that. This picture you can see the Lord Supreme Personality of Godhead is here. And there are a variety of life forms over here in the lower part of this picture, as well as on the trees. You can see birds and vultures and all those seated. And each one has a spark of super soul, which is reflective here. You can see all those things. So this person in knowledge knows that I am not the doer, and he sees each and everyone equally. Yes, Chanda Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Now we are going to discuss about the symptoms of a self-realized person. First symptom we saw that he is samdarshi. second function, symptom of a self-realized person, we show that he knows that he is not the doer. Thirdly, he knows that he is not soul, he is not body, he is the soul. Fourthly, he knows that it is the three modes of material nature which are making things happen or which are responsible for our action. Fifthly, he knows that super soul is the entity that sanctions our desires to be fulfilled. And lastly, the material modes of nature makes it happen. Or yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. इहैव तैर्जितः सर्गो येषां साम्ये स्थितं मनः निर्दोषं हि समं ब्रह्म तस्माद् ब्रह्माणि ते स्थिताः. Those whose minds are established in the sameness and equanimity have already conquered the condition of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahma, and thus they are already situated in Brahman. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So person who just possesses this knowledge of and does not have any ignorance, has controlled his mind and senses, and possesses knowledge that I am not the doer, and sees super soul each and every living entity, he is in a state of equanimity, or he is equiposed, he is samdarshi, he is not disturbed by dualities of life, that is happiness and sorrow and like these contradictory situations. And also he in such a state is already liberated. He is situated at the Brahman platform. And we know Brahman form of form of realization of God realization is the lowest form, but he is still above the normal living entities, and he is in a state of Brahman. Thus, they are already situated in Brahman. And we know that there are three stages of God realization. First is Brahman, where people, individual is also a Brahman, the Brahman is also there, and also the super soul is also sometimes referred to as Brahman. So he is a liberated person in that manner already. Yeah, Mataji, this one.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Na prahashrate priyam prapya no dvijet prapya cha priyam sthira buddhe sammodho brahma vidya brahmane stitah. The person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the science of God, is already situated in transcendence.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
So, this is what we discussed earlier also, that he is already equiposed, he is not affected by dualities of life. He is pleasure or pain, he is always situated in a blissful state. And one of the verses in Bhagvat says, the prasanna bhut, Brahma bhut prasannatma na shochati na kamshati. The person who is situated at Brahman level, he neither laments for any loss or gain, or neither rejoices, na kamshati, neither desires anything, because he is that such a person is already situated in a state of liberation. So we are continuing with the symptoms. Before Srila Mataji, please, Chanda Mataji, you read this one also, then we'll request Srila Mataji.
Yes,
Yes.
Symptoms of self-realized person. Such a liberated person is not attached to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Can you describe this picture? What is happening here?
The person who is sitting in the dhyana of Parameshwara, that is Krishna, Lord Krishna. So he is not attached to the sense of pleasure, where we can see a woman is sitting in front, but his sight is not distracted by her, because he is sitting, he is self-realized person, and his sense is under control, and this kind of sense gratification can't deviate his mind.
Thank you, Mataji. Sheila Mataji, would you like to explain? A bit louder, Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, as I could recall, we have actually, once you have narrated a story of once Goswami ji, the same what Chanda Mata ji has said. This is
Prabhuji,
exactly.
Haridas
Yes,
Goswami,
Prabhuji. Yes, yes. He is
Ji,
Haridas Thakura. Very
Haridas
Yeah,
nice.
Thakur
Very nice. Thank you, Prabhuji. Pankaj Dubey.
also started chanting and became uh,
Okay, let me.
The girl is Chintamani.
3 lakh
Sintamani.
chanting. Yes, he is done
Thank you, Mataji.
daily.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice. So this is Haridas Thakur, Namacharya. He used to chant. We discussed in Glories of Name. You will remember he used to chant 3 lakh times in a day the Lord's name. In fact, he was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him the name of Namacharya, and 3 lakh times chanting of holy name. Just imagine. I don't know how many times you are doing, but it is expected at least that 4 rounds of Maha Mantra each one of us has to do. Anyway, as you move up to level 3, then at least minimum 16 round is compulsory for each one of us. So we can split those 16 rounds. So he is Namacharya Haridas Thakur, and he was very busy, always chanting in his kutir. This the king was very disturbed by his followers and the following. He was so popular in chanting all the time. So he wanted to spoil the sadhana of this Haridas Thakura. He sent this prostitute, and prostitute came, and she in fact bared her some body parts also to attract him. Then and she said that you are such a young man and I am so beautiful. And she was the most beautiful prostitute sent by king to stay to take Haridas Thakur from the away from the path of devotion. So she wanted to lure him, attract him, and she did all kind of possible things to attract him. And she said that you are a young person, handsome person, I am the most beautiful. Why can't we unite and have some time together? So something like that she went upon saying. Haridas Thakur said that just please wait, let me, I have a commitment that I have to do so many rounds of names. So when I finish, I will definitely satisfy your desire. So, but that whole night he kept on chanting, the lady kept on waiting, and then when day came out, this lady left. Next evening she comes again, then again same thing happens. Third time what happens that she sits down quietly, and the Haridas Thakura is chanting the holy name, and then she also starts chanting. You see the association, this is important, the importance of association of pure devotee. He is a pure devotee, a very self-realized soul. Even the heart of prostitute got a transformation listening to Hari now. So then she also started chanting then thereafter. And she, not only that, she started worshipping the Tulsi Maharani, which was in the hermit of this Haridas Thakur. And this is how she became a purified person. Haridas Thakur knew why the design of this lady before. She could have left her, but this is the beauty of, this is a virtue of a self-realized person, that he wants to elevate other fallen souls also. So this is the in fact one of the attribute of his spiritual master, that who, if a disciple reaches him, he wants the disciple to rise above the material mode of life and take up a spiritual or consciousness. So Haridas Thakur was another story related to Haridas Thakur needs mentioned here, that he is the incarnation of Lord Brahma. You know what happened? That Haridas Thakur was contemporary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What happened that once, does anybody know the Brahma Vimohan Leela? Does anybody recollect what was Brahma Vimohan Leela?
Prabhuji, may I?
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, is that such Leela where when Lord Brahma, he was, once he see Krishna and he was seeing that he is playing with normal people, villagers. So he's storing Makhan. So he was doubted him whether he is a Supreme Personality of God or not. So I think this story is as he has stolen a few cows and his all friends, and further Shri Krishna divided himself, or he has taken all the roop of all his friends and cows, and they went to further Vrindavana, and all the mothers and all the cows, all them seeing each once they are seeing their sons, so they are finding the same divinity as they have find out in Krishna. Later, I think one day or 1 year here at Earth, 1 year has passed out. Then Lord Brahma investigated whether what has happened here in the Vrindavana, and he looked at everyone is in taken form to whom he has stolen. So further he surrendered before Supreme Personality, and Lord Krishna then shows that there are so many Brahmas and so many Brahmans, universes in this whole world, and he is one of them.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice. Thank you, Mataji. This is the story. What happened that Brahma, out of his pride, you thought that this is a young cowherd boy, Krishna. How could he be God and all these things? This kind of doubts at the level of Lord Brahma, who has been created by Lord Krishna himself. So what he did one night, just to test whether he is really God or not, one day he stole all the cows and all the cowherd boys and kept them captive at his place for 1 year. And the very next day, Lord Krishna comes, and all the cowherds and boys, cowherd boys, and the cows are there, and it is just a normal life. After 1 year, Brahma came down to see what is this cowherd boy is doing. And when what he saw, it was mesmerizing and surprising. He saw there were numerous Krishnas. In place of cowherd boys, everybody was Krishna all around them. So he realized his mistake, that I have done a blunder shouting the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then he begged pardon of Krishna and took a blessing from him that please, when you come to the our material world again, or when you appear in this Prithvi or earth again, please bring me as an associate of yours. So Lord Krishna came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Kali Yuga, as Lord incarnate in the bhava of Radharani, and this Haridas Thakur came in the form of Brahma. So he is considered to be an incarnation of Brahma. So this is Brahma Vimohan Leela, and this is the significance. So association of a pure devotee and perfect control of over senses. This is the reason here. In Nectar of Instruction, there is a shloka, Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodh Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Udaro Pastha Vegam. Vacho Vegam means control, Vegam means urge. We don't have control on our speech. Vacho Vegam, wherever we start speaking, whether it is time or correct to speak or not. So Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodh Vegam, control over the mind, control over the anger, and Jiva Begam. We are very, attracted to smell, aromas of and good quality food and all. Udaro Pastha Begam. Udar means stomach, and past means the part lower the genitals. So this Haridas Thakur had a perfect control over all his urges. That is, all his senses were controlled. So that is why this prostitute could not lure him to whatever she wanted to do. So this is the message here. Yes, Srila Mataji, please continue. This is also very important shloka. Yehi sansparsha bhoga.
Yehi sansparshaja bhoga yonaya evate adyan adyantavantah kaunte nateshu ramate buddha. An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such a pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
So thank you, Mataji. So an intelligent person does not take part in the source of misery. What are the source of misery? The sensory objects. The senses are source of
Senses,
injuries because they
which
are
are
already
in
controlled.
contact with the material objects.
Yeah, because they
Apart
come in
from Lord
contact with
Krishna.
material content, and whenever our desire is fulfilled, we are happy temporarily only. But when it is not happening, then we are again in a state of misery or sorrow. So wise man does not delight in them. A person who knows that they are, if if we have one one phone, we want tomorrow new model has come, we want another good model or something like that. That this kind of sense gratification keeps on going and there is no end to it. So a person who is wise, intelligent, does not get trapped into this kind of sense gratification or sense attraction. So some pictures are given here. What do we see here?
The flies are attracted towards the light, towards the
Right.
source of light.
So what sense organ is coming to play in this picture?
So they might die while touching the
And they
light.
might die because the temperature is high at the light point. But why they are getting attracted? Which sense organ is coming into play here?
Eyes, I think.
Yes, Mataji, vision or eyes. So our problem is also same. We are attracted towards sights which are not really good for us, and which may damage us, which may cause a lot of harm to us. So, but we are attracted towards them, though it may cause a lot of damage. So this was eye. What is happening here in this picture? A deer, you can see. Sorry.
A deer got entangled.
Sorry, Mataji.
Uh,
A deer got entangled in the bushes.
Yeah.
a deer getting
What
attracted
attracts,
to
my point
female
is,
deer.
which sense organ causes a deer to be trapped? रंजना बाद में करना ये.
The nose, because of the maybe the fragrance from the tree.
Eyes.
Not Mataji. Something
Prabhuji,
different.
eyes.
How does
Nose
it?
with
How does a
fragrance of
deer get trapped or caught?
He's attracted to a female deer.
No. It is the sound, Some bigul is played by the hunter, and that sound is so attractive to the deer that deer starts running towards going to that sound, and as soon as gets close to it, he is trapped. So it is, in the first, it was eye or vision. Second, it was ear or hearing. And what is happening here? Which sense organ is involved in trapping of this
Here, no,
Taste,
smell.
I think. Taste.
taste? Yes, Mataji, taste. Taste, or you can say that it is a smell also, but it is basically it is the nose which is coming into play here, because the bee is smelling the sweetness of the nectar in this flower, and when the evening comes, the flower closes and the bee is trapped. This is how we are also captivated by the sense of smell. And what is happening here in this picture? Which sense organ is coming into play?
Taste.
Your mouth.
Taste, yes.
Mouth.
This is a bait. You know, the fish, what does a person who goes to a pond to catch fish, he puts a in his hook, fishing net, that fishing hook, that this kind of bait, and the fish is, because of its taste for eating this fish, it becomes, so mouth and taste are the responsible. And what is happening here?
Elephant
Prabhuji,
getting
elephant got trapped.
Elephant got trapped
hole.
into a pit, or it was a trap, in fact. So what sense organ brought this trap?
Female
Yes.
elephant.
Yes, Mataji, yes, Mataji. So you know what elephant hunters do? They bring about a female or she elephant, and the she elephant, the elephant is very fond of touch. So male elephant runs towards the female or she elephant, and then what happens, in between there is a trap, a pit covered with some grass or straws, and so it is not visible. So the male elephant falls into this ditch and gets trapped. So we can see here it is vision, here it is sound, and here it is smell, and this is taste, and this is touch. And these are five sense organs, our sense organs, which are in fact trapping us every moment of the day and night. And Srila Prabhupada has given a very good example. A person has five wives. Five ladies are married to a person, and they are living in a flat at different levels. First floor, one wife; second floor, like this; fifth floor, fifth wife. So when the person comes back home after doing his work in office, then there is each lady would like to pull that man to her flat, because they want to have time with the husband. Each one wants to have. So these five wives, or the five senses of ours, they are pulling us every moment to some or other trap, and that is Maya, that is illusion. We think, and they also think, that perhaps we shall get eternal pleasure by having contact, by utilizing these sense organs, but it is not true. It results into misery ultimately. So, O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end. They are not lasting. What is lasting is our eternal pleasure, or the loving devotional service of Lord. Is spiritual happiness is lasting. And so the wise man does not delight in them. So does not get trapped into the sense organs, like these examples have been given. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
You said that our five senses attracts us towards misery, right?
Yes, Mataji.
Oh, thank you.
But these senses, there is another aspect of it, which I will come to later. In fact, these senses are very trapping. They are very troublesome. They are cause of our misery. But if we direct all our five senses in devotional service, that gives us pleasure. That gives
Yes.
us eternal bliss. So wise man does not get trapped by these sense organs. Wise man thinks of utilizing these senses in the service of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is it okay, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Okay.
Yeah.
Because in one of the temple lectures, live lectures, there Prabhuji was saying that we have to engage all our senses into Krishna consciousness. That only will lead us to his lotus feet.
Yes, Mataji. Yes.
So, what I understood, that actually, if we don't get engaged into Krishna consciousness, these five senses will only take us to the hell. So it's better to chant and see only Krishna, hear only Harinam, say only Harinam, and
Yes.
offer from your hands as a service to Krishna. These all things will take you close to Krishna.
Yes,
Right?
Mataji. So we know example of Amrish Maharaj, who used to utilize all his sense organs in the service of Lord. You can see the mode of ignorance people, these are shown here in this picture. Yeah, Srila Mataji.
जी प्रभु जी।
Hare Krishna. Srila Mataji were reading.
जी प्रभु जी। शक्न वि शक शक्न शक्न यह सोढुम प्राक् शरीर विमोक्षणात् काम क्रोधो Sabhabhavam Vegam Sayukta Sa Sukhi Naraha. Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world.
So that means we have to control our senses. Control our senses, but it is very difficult to control our senses. Till the last breath of time of our life, Ajamila, you can remember Ajamila. He was so attached to his son that at the last moment he started calling Narayan. Narayan was his name. So our senses cannot be controlled. Srila Prabhupada says that it is impossible to control senses, even up to the time point of the last breath. So what one has to do? One has to direct these senses in the service of Lord. So this is, as I just now mentioned, that in Nectar of Instruction, the verse is, Vacho Begam Manasa Krodh. Vegam means urge. Vacho means speech or urge to speak. Urge to speak. Vacho Begam Manasa Krodh Begam Jivaha Begam Udaro Pasta Begam. That means stomach and the genitals urge. Etan Began Ya Vishet Dhira. Person who is able to control these urges. Sarvam Apibab Prathvim Sa Shishyati. He can make disciples all over the world. So person who is realized he controls all these urges. He controls all these senses. And how does it happen? So, and how long do I have to tolerate the pushing of the senses? This is part in 24 to 26. Until when one must tolerate the urges of senses, until the death of the body. That means these urges will never end. The urges will continue to happen, but they have to be directed in a correct direction. When one gets the strength to tolerate the sensual urges by focusing his happiness, activities, and goes inward. So meditation was one thing, but meditation is not possible in this yoga. So what is the best thing? Is doing the Hare Ram Kirtana or chanting of holy name or holy Maha Mantra. He engages in purifying his external activities by working for the benefit of others. Then one is assured of liberation. So these are five organs which need to be controlled, and they have to be controlled, not only controlled, but directed towards the correct end. You can see how these elevated souls, they have controlled their, and you can see here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You can read, Mataji, this, is the text visible to you, Mataji?
Prabhuji, they're too
Yeah.
small. I will try, but
Anyone else would like to read?
Yes,
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji.
I'll
May I?
try.
Yeah, Swamprabha Mataji raised your hands. Swamprabha Mataji, would you like to read, please?
Yes, I'll read Prabhuji.
Yes, thank you. Hare
One
Krishna.
whose happiness is within, who is active within, who rejoices within, and is illumined within, is actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme, and ultimately he attains the Supreme.
Okay.
When a person is actually in the knowledge that Krishna is the fountainhead of everything, then when he acts in that spirit, he acts for everyone. The sufferings of humanity are due to forgetfulness of Krishna as the supreme enjoyer, the supreme proprietor, and the supreme friend. Bhagavad Gita 5.25 Purport. Those who are free from anger and all material desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly enduring.
So, thank you, Mataji. So this 5.25 is the one of the very important verses again. When a person is actually in knowledge that Krishna is the fountainhead of everything, then when he acts in that spirit, he acts for everyone. The sufferings of humanity are due to forgetfulness of Krishna as the supreme enjoyer, the supreme proprietor, and the supreme friend. Actually, we are supreme enjoyer is only Krishna, but we consider ourselves as the enjoyer of our activities. So these are 3 verses are remaining. I will finish up this chapter. Please remain with me for some time. Liberation through Ashtanga Yoga. Now, we have heard the 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga: Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dhyan, then
Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi.
Dharana, Dhyan, and Samadhi. So these these stages to practice, or these limbs to practice, or these disciplines to practice in this yoga are very, very difficult. So Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dhyan, Dharana, Dhyan, and Samadhi. So it is very difficult, but practice on earlier people used to do practice this yoga and they could get liberation. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this form of meditation or this form of yoga is not possible in these days. Yes, this is a very important verse. Please read. Yeah. Swam Prabha Mataji, you were reading.
Both 27 and 28, right?
Yes, Mataji.
Shan krutva bahirbahyam चक्षुश्चैवान्तरे भ्रुवोः प्राणापानौ समौ कृत्वा नासाभ्यन्तरचारिणौ यतेन्द्रियमनो बुद्धिर्मुनिर्मोक्षपरायणः विगतेच्छाभयक्रोधो यः सदा मुक्त एव सः.
Translation.
Concentrated between the 2 eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breaths within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence, the transcendentalist, aiming at liberation, becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Dhanyavad.
Mataji. So this was possible in this kind of transcendental meditation is not possible in Kali Yuga. Our life is short. Mind is always in a state of high turbulence. It is always agitated, and memory is very short. So this formula of getting liberation through transcendental meditation, withdrawing our sense organs and focusing on the super soul only, and without any external contact with sense objects, this kind of activity or yoga is not possible in this yoga. And the Nam Sankirtana, constant chanting of the holy name, not only chanting by numbers that I'm chanting today 6 rounds or 7 rounds or 16 rounds or 20 rounds or 20 minutes, not like this. Every time, always remember Krishna, never. Padma Puran says, always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So whatever we are doing, mentally we can at least do chanting. Mentally we can think of Krishna always. Or mentally we can, while even cooking, a record player or some tape maybe play, or some kind of, on tube you can listen to Krishna bhajan, or you can listen to Srila Prabhupada Vani and his lectures. So this is the last verse here. Peace on the platform of liberation. How to get the peace? And this peace formula is given by Srila Prabhupada. He has labeled it as a person in full consciousness of Krishna attains liberation from pangs of material desires. Bhokta Ram Yagya Tapsa. Yes, Mataji, Swam Prabhupada Mataji. This is a beautiful verse, and everyone must remember this thing. Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
This is the called Shanti Mantra, right, Prabhuji?
Peace formula. Srila Prabhupada
Peace
said this is the peace. If we want to retain peace, you also once in a previous one of the talks, you mentioned this is a peace formula. You quoted this verse, Mataji, isn't it? You remember? I remember that you quoted this verse when we were talking about, when I talked what is the peace formula. Yes.
Okay. Because, okay, I'll read. Bhoktaram yagnatapasam sarvalokamaheeshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam jnatva mam shantim ruchati. The sages, knowing me as the ultimate purpose of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attain peace from the pangs of material miseries. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanyavad.
It is a wonderful sloka. Bhoktaram yagitakapsam sarvaloke maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim pricchati. So, Bhoktaram Yagitaksam. I am the supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices and austerities. Sarva Loke Maheshwara. I am the controller. Sorry, I am the controller of all planets and all demigods. Sarva Lok Maheshwaram. I am the controller and also the master or owner. So Hridam Sarvabhutanam. Sarvabhutanam is all living entities. I am their well-wisher. So Hridam, I am their well-wisher. There is no bigger well-wisher than Lord Krishna so far as we are concerned. Because he is present in our heart as super soul. He is our well-wisher. He has given us minute independence also. Who could do this thing to us? So he is, and he is the benefactor. He is the, in fact, he is the supreme enjoyer and he is the enjoyer of everything. Gyatva mam. One who knows this about me, one who knows this fact about me, Shantim Rachati. He is deprived of all kind of miseries and he enjoys eternal peace with me. So this is the gist of chapter number 5, that Bhokta Nam Yagitapsam. Oh, Arjuna, I am the, whatever you are going to do in this battlefield, I shall be enjoying it, not the you, not even if you win. And as I told, as Lord Krishna said earlier, that you shall rule the world and enjoy the opulences of the kingdom of Hastinapur. It's not you. I am Bhoktaram Yagitaksam. Whatever yajna or tapas you do, so because I am the Lord of all planets and demigods. And so there is no bigger well-wisher than me, of Sarva Bhutanam, all living entities. Gyatva, one who knows this fact, gets complete freedom from all kind of material miseries in this world, and he enjoys peace. So this verse, everybody, I request, please remember Lord Krishna's final words are here. So this is what we read, how to perform Nishkam Karma Yoga, platform of knowledge, knowing the three doers. We must remember three doers, that I am not the doer, but it is Prakriti Kriya Marnani Karmani, that but Ahankar Vimuratma Karta Hamit Manyati. Liberation by focus in the super soul. Meditation is not possible through Ashtanga Yoga. Then we came to Ashtanga Yoga, the peace formula on the platform of liberation. One who knows this peace formula gets liberated from all kind of misery. Not only miseries, but also from the cycle of birth and death. Because one has this knowledge, perfect knowledge of peace formula, then he does not consider himself as a doer. He considers everything belongs to Krishna, everything is for Krishna, everything is being done by Krishna. So when we do something for Krishna, then we will not do anything which is not pious or which is impious. Hare Krishna, we come to end of this chapter. So if there is any question or anything you would like to ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
Prabhuji, why are certain person born with more of goodness and some with more of patience?
एक छोटा सा कृष्णा करके था.
And
Why your question, if I have correctly understood,
La, la, la.
you mean to ask why some people are in mode of goodness, why some in passion or some in
Yeah, more. Yeah, some have more mode of goodness. Some have more. Some are more in ignorance, and
Yes.
some are more in goodness. Why are?
Some
Is there
people.
certain reason for that?
Mataji, just now I mentioned that the living entity during the life period, it attains certain tendencies or certain swabhav is adopted by the soul. And we do a lot of activities which are, again carried over from the previous life. In this life, let us take this life. Sometimes we are in a mode of goodness, sometimes we are in a mode of ignorance, and sometimes we are in a mode of passion. And this is happening with each one of us. In the morning, we are in mode of goodness. As soon as we are out of for office, we are in a mode of passion, lot of endeavor, lot of work, lot of tension, and lot of desire for recognition, respect, honor, uh, to be, affection, this kind of passion comes. And by the time we come back home and it is at night time, we are in a mode of ignorance. We are indolent, lazy, and we are mad. And we want to enjoy everything, whatever right or wrong thing. So if this is, and sometimes there is a combination of the three modes of material nature. And how we are happening here? Because from the previous life, we have certain balance of our karmas. We have performed some good activities. We take birth in a noble family, a family of Krishna conscious parents, where we get all opportunities to increase our Krishna consciousness and go back to God in a, and when we are in a, but this does not happen always. So the point is that we have to continue to remain in mode of goodness and use all our senses in the service of Lord. Then only the mode of goodness. But ultimately, mode of goodness is also not the end of it. We have to have Shuddha Sattva or Vishnu Tattva, that is, we have to rise above the mode of goodness, go to the level of transcendence. That is the purpose, Mataji. That is why we acquire certain subtle body acquires certain tendencies or swabhav of the soul. And just now we heard that there are three doers, and out of the three doers, the soul desires, the super soul permits, and the three modes of material nature, they fashion whatever desire is to be fulfilled. Thank you. The other batch has
Okay.
joined. I think I shall have to stop now.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Please fill in the attendance and before you leave.
Prabhuji,
Yes, Prabhuji.
one question from me. Actually, Prabhuji, I have read one book or purchased some book, Krishna, the pleasure. In that, I have confused. It is written that uh, 84 lakh spices. There is man, snake, god, semi-god, and demigod. Semi-god means Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, we focus on what Srila Prabhupada has said about what Lord Krishna has
It
said
is a
in Bhagavad Gita.
same.
I cannot make any comment on other literature
Okay.
because I'm not competent to
No,
read.
it is actually same book of Bhakti. I purchased from ISKCON. Krishna. Book name is Krishna.
The difference maybe Krishna, yes, that is a very authentic book, very, very nice book. All pastimes of Lord Krishna are given in that book.
In
Please
that
do
written
read.
that 84 lakh spices is there, and 8 lakh others, 4 lakh spices in man,
Living
man
entities.
and it is
Human
written that
beings.
man, snake,
Human
god,
beings are 4
semi-god.
lakhs. Yeah. So there's a division of 8,400,000 species is given there.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to stop because the other batch has joined. Please,
Okay.
please fill the attendance form before you leave. We'll stop. So let us have the closing prayer. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोट वैष्णव की जय। Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji and Mataji. Dandavat pranam to all of you. And thank you very much for joining today's session. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna to everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you. Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Mataji.